Need to confess. Need to confess.
Need to confess.
Need to confess. Need to confess.
Need to confess.
Need to confess.
Need to confess. Need to confess.
we're ruined. We're stepping on mine, sleeping with eyes wide open, and you're in between the lines. I won't take what you've been smoking. Oh no, oh no. No one could love you like I do. We're breaking up, we're breaking up. What kind of vibe is mine to you? Easy of night, I am the few. We make a castle to a ruin. Castle, ruin. Castle.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming to join me this morning, or afternoon, or whatever it is, wherever you are. Thank you. Yeah, I see a whole bunch of familiar faces and some new faces in the chat, so thank you guys so much for joining. So, Valoa, hi there, how's it going? Farouk, you threw in a sub there while I ran upstairs to get myself some more coffee, so thank you so much for that sub. That's super generous of you. Thank you very much. Silver Mango, welcome. Yushan, Papagilu, how's it going? Farouk, Gary B. Dev, that Rob Human, Avi, David B, Stefan, Natty, welcome everybody. It's Monday morning. Thank you guys all for coming to hang out with me this morning. It's a big day for me because CSS Demystified, the content finally is available and unlocked for everybody who has purchased, or the first module has just unlocked. I've already fixed a video that was a little bit broken this morning, and I think all the fires have been put out for now, so hopefully everything is okay to go with that first week of content. I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to hear the feedback as people start progressing through the content that's in there and building the things up. If you did purchase, just so you know, the first week really sets the stage for the stuff that's to come in the following weeks. So yeah, I'm really excited once we get to week 2 and week 3, but Silver Mango, you watched one part already, and it was awesome. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. The first part, where I think is a good one, where we just sort of talk about why CSS is the way it is and all of that. Natty, your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming to join us. That Rob Human, totally not a robot. Yeah. So, because I've been so busy with CSS Demystified, I have been ignoring my YouTube content a little bit. I haven't even edited up the last one that I said I would for the course. So, for YouTube. So I still need to edit that up. I actually recorded another video over the weekend for YouTube as well. And I'm probably eventually going to turn this, if this isn't a complete disaster, which what I'm starting today could easily just not work, letting you know now. So I'll show you what the plan is for today, which this was recommended over in the Discord channel. So if you want to join the Discord, the link to it is just under the video, or you can use the Discord command. And it's to recreate this contact form. And if you've never seen, I've seen it make the rounds a few times, and then somebody recommended it over on my Discord, or they were asking how it was done, I think, and I said that could be a fun live stream. And it doesn't look like anything too fancy here, but the cool thing with it is when you click on, it's log in, but if you don't want to line in, you want to sign up, when you click it, it does this cool little animation. And then you get the sign up form on this side, and then you can go back the other way. And I don't know how they did this, to be honest. I have a feeling, I have a few different ideas. I haven't looked at their own code, and I'd rather do it without looking at theirs. And plus, I'm assuming built on some sort of framework, so it might be hard to see what they did anyway. But yeah, I think it's really cool, and I don't know. I don't know if it'd be a perfect clone. When I sort of want to start with the easy wins, but with something like this, and whenever I'm thinking about anything and looking at a project or looking at something I want to do, you always want to start with the easiest way possible just to get something there, and then you start trying to make it, you start working on the subtleties of it. The problem with something like this is if you make a mistake early on, you might have to like really tear it down and start over again. This isn't like something where you just have to like change, oh, I nested this div in there and I shouldn't have, or I need to create a new nesting of divs because I have like some extra stuff or whatever. So it should be interesting, but it'll be fun. That Rob Human, you've been following me on YouTube for a while, so it's going to be bizarre seeing me live. You'll see me, I make a lot more mistakes when I'm live than when it's edited content. Yeah, there'll be a lot of Flexbox in this one. Can I create Vuetify's documentation? I'm not even sure if I've seen it. Vuetify documentation. Am I on the right one, Avi? Is this the one that you were thinking of? Something like this, actually, you could learn a ton from something like this, even if it's not as, like, flashy. So we could look at maybe doing something bigger at one point that could be interesting. Hey there, Mohammed. Welcome. Yeah, so something like this, it's not as flashy, but there's a lot to learn just because there is a lot of things you need to set up to create something like this in a good way that makes it easy. So that could be some sort of documentation at one point, could be something we look at creating. You might have to remind me of that, but... You're not staying long today, Ragnar? Busy day? Farouk is saying, why this fancy CSS stuff is not practical? I mean, stuff like this, I think one of the reasons you don't see it too often, I think it's really fun, it's really exciting, it's really nice for the user experience. Like, even if you're not a developer or something and you see that happen, it's pleasant. That you go like, ooh, it gets sparks a little bit of joy. So I think things like this are really valuable in that sense. The problem is the amount of work that goes into making them work for a sign-up form, effectively. So, if you have if you have a team that's able to do it, that's cool. But it's one of those things where, the man hours that it takes to build something like this, is it worth the investment, I guess? And it can be, I guess, because people do it, but... So I do think in creating things like this, you can learn so much that even if you're not taking it and using these skills all the time, that you learn a lot by building things like this that then enable you to be able to, when you're doing things that are more practical, you have solutions to them because you've done things that are a lot harder. So the simple things become a lot simpler when you run into them. Yeah, I never noticed that. That logo change, and now I can't not notice it. I wonder what they do there. I wonder if there's even like a really... that's interesting. I'm not sure I'll have a logo at first, but I'm really going to be looking at the basics of it for this morning. I mean, you could use a blending mode, but I don't think they'd want their... It's probably, if you're following brand guidelines... What if I X that, by the way? Okay. The problem when you... Oh no, I've switched languages now. How do I get back to English? Do I go back far enough? Does it go back to English? That's interesting. My back button is going... It's actually changing the page that I'm on. I have the sign in and sign up page. It's two different pages. How did I end up in Russian by going to the home page? That was weird. I'm assuming that was Russian. It looked that style. Sorry if it's another language. With the logo there, like you're following brand guidelines too, so you don't just want like inversed colors. So, I mean, that is a bit of an issue. Avi12.com. Cool. Oh, you have a nice little filter there too. This is like one of the hardest things to do. These little... Nice. I won't be doing it today, but maybe another time. Let me just see what else is going on in the chat before we get started. A posture check already. I missed that one earlier. Thank you for the follow, Furker. iFurker. Hi, Nerdophile. Welcome. Alright, so I think I'm going to get started with this. Thank you for the follow, Ronios. So I'm going to break this down. So this is what we're trying to recreate. One thing I did notice is on mobile, they just have it switch like the top and bottom. I'm not even sure if I like that, because if you are on mobile, like, and I scroll down and I click that, then I have to scroll back to, I'm not sure. I think I would just have it switch pages instead of do that. They must be using some sort of framework, just because it is changing the actual URL up here too when we switch between the two. Sign up, sign in, so you can see it switches there. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is built on React or something, which means I have React DevTools. I could always dive into there if we need to, but I'm going to try and do it without looking at it. I guess the one thing I'm not sure about, and like there is an advantage if you're using something like, you know, changing state could be a good thing on this, but we'll see if we can do it without. I've literally done nothing. I have nothing at all set up. So I'm just going to do, if you're using... Oh wait, I want to do one thing first. That's okay. There we go. So if you are using... Oh, the topic still says Flexbox Zombies? Oh no, thank you for letting me know. Let me change that. I always change one of them, and then I forget I have to change it in two spots. Oh, I didn't change it on the starting soon screen either. Cloning... diprella. How do you spell it? Diprella login. Okay, there we go. Thank you for letting me know about that, Silver Mango. Awesome. So yeah, I think we're ready to go. So right now I have nothing at all. So in VS Code, if you just hit the exclamation point and hit tab, you get like your basic starter template, which is always good to have. Whoops, I moved my head. Not that it really matters, but... and then with the starter template, the nice thing with it, let's just put diprella clone. The nice thing here is like you get your meta viewport, which is why I always make, like I even did a YouTube video on this where I forgot to put the comma in between, and it still actually worked here, but it's because I never write this myself. It's always there, right? And then we want to link to my style.css file. I am running pre-pros in the background, so the page will automatically update as long as we go. And what do we need? So this is where, like, usually we can get easy wins and quick wins. But this makes it a little harder because I have to think about, like, how is this even created? And how would we be making something like this? So we need to... I'm honestly... Okay, I'm going to do... We need one area for this dark background. Like this area here is one section or one div. I'm not sure if I should do... I should probably have 3, right? So let's just say we do... I'm going to do a main, even though we... Whatever. So if we have a We'll do 3 sections. So section will be log in. We'll have a section of sign up. And we'll have a... This is also where it could actually be really tricky from an accessibility point of view. I'm gonna have to think about that afterwards too. It's usually easier when you do that at the beginning. Sign in, sign up. This button, I have no idea how I'm gonna do that. I have an idea, but okay. I don't know what to call this. One of us, sign in. New here, sign up. Section of sign, question of switch. Switch state. That's a really, whatever. We'll stick with that. And I mentioned going with easy wins. So the switch state is this one here. That one to me is the easiest section to set up. I'm just creating this one page Nerdifile as much as I can. I'm not going to be able to get through it today. What? I didn't know that. If you do link, oh my goodness. Thank you, Silver Manga. Look at that. I've been doing it the long way. I'm such a fool. Link, and what if I did like, I get it. Cool. I've never even bothered. Print, RSS, CSS, Atom. Huh, that's so cool. Okay, that's good to know. Today I learned it definitely. So the easy wins, this is the easy win here because it's, you know, I think the easiest section of all of this to do. So here, actually, I'm just trying to think of the hierarchy for the page. Ah, I did it again. And we're gonna be back in Russian. Okay. This is where eventually I'm gonna have to bring some JavaScript into this, but I'm not gonna be doing it today. Because... I'm probably making a bit of a mistake in how I'm setting this up, to be honest. Because on this, when it's the official sign-in page, this would be my H1. And then when we switch over to here, this would be my H1. So we'll figure that out as we go. But here I'm going to have an H2 of, we'll call this, I'm just trying to see. I'm also looking at the rest of the page just to see if there's anything else, but it seems to be the only. I'm just going to do an H2 then. Let's do this one. New here. I'm probably going to have to wrap this in another div too. We're going to see. Okay, new here, then, okay, if we, oh no, we'll do this one, one of us. One of us. And then we have a paragraph of that. And then we would have a button. What happens when I click that? I guess that's actually a button, right? So a button with a class of btn, which says sign in, I think, because we're looking at that side for now. Cool. So if I hit save, we should see some of that show up. There we go. And I'm doing it as a button and not in anchor tag because it's not bringing me somewhere else officially. It is like an interactive element, right? It could be a link because it is changing pages since the URL is changing. But anyway, we'll see. I'm going to do it as a button for now because this one's obviously actually a button. This one you could probably argue either way. And if we're doing that, it's going to be my one of us, so create a free account, which would be sign up. So here H1 would be create free account. We need that. whoops, paragraph. Then it would be a UL of social login, social icon, social login, social logins. Each one of those, if I click that, what happens? I'm just curious. Oh, it actually brings me over to Facebook. Interesting. I thought that would be like one of those like request to log in forms. Huh. I would have thought, like, shouldn't this be opening a modal and saying it's definitely taking the user somewhere? Okay, I'll switch that to an A. But here, like, shouldn't these be buttons technically, because they're opening a modal? Or they're not doing it here, but like normally when you have this option of like creating a free account with Facebook, when I click that, it's going to open a modal that lets me log in through Facebook. So I have that. Each one of these is a list item, and inside each one will be a button, right? Or is it a link? Okay, I'll do a link for now, and I'll just call it social. BTN social. I've never made one of these either. I'm gonna call it a... What did they use? Okay, I'm cheating. I said I wouldn't look. They used links. Oh, they used Angular. They used a link, I will do a link. Button, social. We'll call it button social, that's fine. Link social? I'm gonna keep it like that for now, and we'll modify from there if we need to. And I need, whoops, I need 3 of these list items, so to be a *3 over here. There we go. And for now, each one of those can go nowhere. I think the site must be a Russian site, or whatever language it is. Zoom in on... What would you like me to zoom in on? I see someone asked me to zoom in. My font size is 26, it's huge. Yeah, they take you to a permission page, so link makes sense. Mohammed's saying to zoom in. Are you on mobile, Mohammed? Is it too small? Whoops, wrong shortcut. I can bump it up to 28 maybe. Is that better? Alright, so we'd have my social links. For now, I'm just going to put, I don't have the logos, so I'm just going to put an F, a G, and an IN for LinkedIn. They have Google Plus. Oh, I guess that's just Google, right? Then we need... I'm going to call this something. What should I call that? Separator? P dot... See, even here, sign up using social networks, or... Like, it's weird that or would be its own paragraph, but I'm not sure how else... I don't want or just floating around. I guess it would be its own paragraph, and we'll call it divider, or, and then I have my form underneath. And then in my form, we would have, does this change at all at different screen sizes? And what if it's on mobile? Like, okay, so it does stack. And it goes name, surname, email, password. And then it's name, surname, email, password. they never really change size, except here they will shrink a little bit. I think I could use Flexbox for that. Whoops. So if, I think in the form I'm just going to do input times 4. Text, email, password. Input checkbox, which has a label after it. Let me just turn word wrap on, and then label. Did they set that up as a label? They haven't, but you should. Label for terms, and this input will have an ID. ID equals terms. The advantage with having that is, here, let me just fill out my label. I can just copy that. Copy. Paste. If you've set up a label, if you click on the text, it also checks the thing. And you do want, like, if some, for accessibility reasons, people need to know what the checkbox is. If you don't put a label on there, unless you have an area label or something like that. But I guess the only, I don't even know what would happen there, because this should be wrapped in a link. Emmet wrap, a, whoops, I always do that. A, terms and conditions. There we go. And then we need, at the end, an input. Alright, I guess it would just be my button. Or it could, it could be an input submit, right? But my guess is that it would actually be a button. I'm gonna do it as a button. Sign up. Class equals BTN. Wondering when you can the question about and I even here I don't do a lot of forms, so if I made a mistake here, someone please point it out to me. As far Milo Bailey's asking, he's saying he's new to front end and wondering when he can use a div. You can use divs when you don't know what else to use. If something you can't think of something else to use, then use a div. I think a lot of people would set the social this up, like they just wrap a div and then make 3 links inside of it. It's not necessarily wrong, but it is a list of different ways you can sign up. So to me, it makes more sense for it to be a list. But if you don't do it as a list, then it's not the end of the world. Same like here, though, I've been brought into projects where this entire thing would be made with divs, including the checkbox, like everything. You don't want to do that. Like all of this stuff has been done for you already. It's part of HTML. It's already been, it's all been in there. We don't need to recreate how an input works or how a button works or all of the accessibility features that come with these things, that when you make it a div and you're trying to return it into an input box or something, you're missing out on so much. You won't make it as good as the original. So at least knowing the basic things is a good idea. And even here I did sections. If these weren't sections, if these were divs, I think it's okay. But because they are separate content sorted, like there are different sections of the page, it makes sense to me to wrap them in a section. Yeah, where is it? Button type equals submit. There you go. Thank you, Ragnar. So yeah, I am going to figure out what to do because I see some people mentioning all of these should have something that helps. And this is using placeholders, I'm guessing, right here. And placeholders in general are bad. Or they shouldn't be the only thing you have. And I've actually seen people say that you shouldn't even use placeholders for accessibility purposes. So it is something to think about. Oh yeah, that's right, eh? So yeah, we could do labels here that are visually hidden, or we could do, if you don't have a label, you can do area label, and then, you know, this could be last name or just name or whatever. So that is one option. This I'm going to use on these guys here, whereas over here, like, it makes sense to sort of have a label, right? Yeah, if you are going to put, like, this shouldn't even really be name. Like, if you're going to do it as a placeholder, like if I click on here and I start typing, so these are placeholders because they disappear as soon as I start typing. So like ideally, if you had like, well, here placeholder on a password is kind of a bad idea, but here input text. If you're going to put a placeholder equals like Powell. It's not super obvious that it's a last name, but then here placeholder equals Kevin. Placeholder equals example at email.com. These are placeholders that make sense because they're giving the person an example of the type of content and the format of the content that you're expecting them to put in. So it's a visual clue, and the reason you want to do that is because as soon as somebody comes in and starts typing here, like, the placeholder disappears, so that visual clue they had is gone. So now, if you know, and most people are going to remember this should be an email field, but it is an issue with them. So these ones, the type email is auto coming up with my email addresses, which is good. But here, Silver Mango's off to bed. Bye, Silver Mango. Thanks for coming. You could do positioning to overlap the them on top. I've heard bad things about that as well, because then they still has to disappear. And there's also, like, remember Google did it for a while where you had those placeholders that would actually move up and turn into a label, and you would type and they'd stay there. That's one type you could do. Again, I've heard negative things about that as well. And at one point, like, you do need to find something that works based on your design. So, you know, if this is your design, I think if this is the design you got and you have to do this, because that's what we're being told we have to do, I will do it. Name, surname, email, and I'm not going to placeholder is equal to password. So it's not what we should be using them for, but we'll do it. And then I think what I'll do is on each one I will put a label. Label for name will be name. And we're going to turn, this will be, I'll give it a class of SR only, and we'll just turn them off. So they're going to be screen reader only. Input, so I need an ID on here. ID is equal to name. Then we'll do this one, which will be surname. Surname. ID equals surname. Email. Email. ID equals email. And you could, like, namescape these a little bit just because they're all IDs, but I'm not building out anything too big. Or actually, I might run into a problem with this. We'll see. And then we need another label of password. And even here, like, it's not telling me what... There's nothing more infuriating than an email field that doesn't tell you the requirements of what you need to put in it, and then you put in a password and it doesn't accept it. and then you only find out after password or password. That does drive me nuts. So if ever you are making something and you're thinking about the user experience, you should have something telling people what the requirements are, and that shouldn't be done in the placeholder, because as soon as that disappears, you forget what's the minimum amount of characters. I mean, I use a password generator, so I just look and see like, oh, I need to have at least 8 characters, so I put it all the way up. I put 50 characters, and then it tells me, oh, it has, you know, you have more than 20 characters, you need something shorter, and you go, oh, okay, and then you do it again, and then it tells you you can't use certain characters. It's really frustrating. So always tell people exactly what the conditions for creating a password are from the beginning. Oh, name. Yeah, I should have put names on these too. Thank you, Abby. Label, input name is equal to first name. And on this one, name is equal to last name. And the advantage with that is when I come in, it gives the options, like, you know, I see my names coming up there. So it just helps with autofilling and stuff. I've seen there's another new autofilling thing that's coming out that is for... Sorry, I'm just getting some more music going. Something that was... What was it for again? It was an auto-filling feature. It was really cool. Oh, it's for passwords. Like the when you get the password, or like a temporary code, those 6-digit things you have to put in. There's a way, I think it's in iOS now, and it's behind flags in Chrome, where you don't even have to click. Like as soon as it comes in, it can autofill it or something like that. It looks really cool. I might have missed something, but I just saw something about the community challenge. So if you do have points to spend, you can spend them on the community challenge to encourage, or we'll get to there after this project probably, because I think we're pretty close. You need less than X characters, yeah. Whenever you run into a password that says like you need less than a certain amount of characters, I'm just like, that's... The developer's a little lazy, right? Walton, what's closed? Is something closed? Form validation is definitely annoying. Definitely. The community challenge is closed. Oh no. Okay, let me... Give me a second. We didn't hit the deadline. I hope I can extend it now. Studio mode... Where's my... Is it this? Oh wait, is it through... Is the community no, the community challenge isn't through there, it's through Twitch itself, right? I have it here. I was thinking it was through Streamlabs, but I think that's actually through Twitch. Community channel points? Community challenge. Extend. Sorry about that. I didn't realize it was expired. There you go. We have community challenge. Should be enabled again. I mean, yeah, I agree that when you see that there's a maximum character limit, it does make it feel like it's being stored as plain text, or there's something else that's a little bit sketchy going on at least. Since I use a different password everywhere, and I'm less worried. You could even use a different email address with them as well, right? Behind her. Oh, and we could look at doing that one day. Where you're... Yeah, that could be something interesting. Oh, a lot of points coming in for the community challenge. Thank you guys. That's a lot of points. All right. Oh, we got to change the music. Someone put their points towards that. All right. Give me a second, and then we'll start styling things up a little bit. Where is my music? Here we go. There it is. I have no idea. I'm just going to choose something at random here. Let this kick in and see if it... Not what I was expecting. Oh, this is called tutorial tracks. Does that mean it's like for doing tutorials on top of? We'll try that one. Yeah, you can. Who is that? The Abrax. I'll stop there. Abrax mentioned that you can, instead of having to put a label, like if you have a label, you don't need to put an ID on it. You could wrap your input in there. That would work if you're not doing a screen reader only and hiding it. You could definitely do that. Is it better or worse? They're both like accepted ways of doing something, so it's completely up to you how you want to do it. I don't think one way has an advantage over the other than for layout purposes, it can have an impact. Like if you need things to go next to one another or stacking, depending on what you need, it could be, you know, there could be differences there. Oh, this is, oh, okay, there we go. I was like, I lost my design. I am going to get Andy Bell's Andy Bell reset, because I like that as my starting point these days. I do make some modifications to this just because some stuff won't work perfectly, but there's some good stuff in here. I've used it a few times now, so if you know, you'll know about it. The one thing I do want to change, I don't need this, and I might rebuild that somewhere else. This is going to be good since we have a form. This would be good too to turn off the animations if we don't want them. I think everything else will work perfectly. I realize I'm doing this as CSS. I probably should have done this as Sass, but oh well. Okay, I don't know what font this is. Let's see if I can find out what font. Actually, if ever you need to find a font, use Firefox. You can find it in Chrome's DevTools easy enough. It's not like you're gonna go crazy. But the nice thing in Firefox is when you come into your DevTools, they have, come on, they have a font section, and it tells you all the fonts that are used and the sizes and everything. So I find this super fun. And the other thing that's kind of cool with it, like you can highlight, like you can see where things are being used, so I can see where each font is. And the other thing here that's cool is you can, I think you can select it, and you can, here I'm modifying, like that's for the one that I have selected here. So let's just see, like if I select my title, it tells me the, like, so it's Gotham Pro Medium, so I'm not gonna be able to use Gotham Pro, but you can play with the font size of that, you can change the line height of it, the spacing of it, and the weight of it. So super cool. So yeah, so they use Gotham Pro, which I'm not gonna be able to get. So let's go see what we can get. Fonts.google.com. Actually, I might be able to get Gotham off Adobe. I do have Typekit, but or it's Adobe Fonts now, I guess. But if I put in, whoops, no, not there. Whoops. I don't think they have Gotham, do they? No. We'll just go with Open Sans. I think it's close enough. It's not the same font. Is Open Sans? Actually, let's go back. Let's get variable fonts here so I can get a lot of weights. Oswald might be okay. Rubik? Yeah, I'm gonna go with Rubik. Because that way, I don't want to download it. I want to just take the two, copy. Whoops. Okay, let's take this. If you haven't, I looked at this a while back, and let's hope I remember how to do it. When you have a variable Google font and you want to be able to get the whole range, 0, comma. Is the 0 the italic one now? It is. Okay. I don't think I need italics, but so we'll take this off. So here it's between, so we're getting the 300 weight to the 900 weight. I've never seen it with the zeros before. What is the 0 doing? Oh, see, it took it off now. So here it's doing 300 and 900 only. If you do a ... or is it double dot? 2 dots, I think. It will give you the whole range of them in between that. So it gets everything from 300 to 900, I think. Let's go find out. My styles. Body. If it doesn't work. Whoops, where's my, oh, it's over here. Nope. There it is. It looks like it's working. And if I do font weight 900, it's there. If I do an 800, it should work. Get a little bit smaller. There we go. So it's working. So it's only with their variable fonts. Really important. But that means you're linking to their full range of variable fonts between 300 and 900. Natty, yeah, there'll be a recording, so you can definitely find it later. One question, if you choose italic version of Google Font, what is the effect in CSS when you use the font style regular? Let's find out. So if I only choose, so if I remove that, it might be, let's say only the black italic and nothing else. And then find out what happens. Everything becomes black italic because it can't find anything else. So I think if I remember correctly, what's happening is it's looking for the font, and then once it finds the font, it will use whatever is available for it. It's sort of like if you do a font weight 900, but you only have the 700 available, it's going to fall back to that 700. Or if you put 700 and only the 900 is the closest one, it will go to the 900. So I think that's the same thing that's happening here. Like I only have the 900 available, so it's taking that, and I only have the italic available, so it's taking that as well. So if we go and font style normal, it's not available, so it's trying to do it, but this is the most important part, and because I could put 300 here, and it's probably still going to be, it looks exactly the same, because that's the only thing that it can actually get to. And now we go back. So I think we'll do a 400 or 300. What would be we'll go with the 400 as the default, I think. For this stream, because it's already been almost an hour in getting this far, I think I'm just going to sort of try and get the general layout with sort of the colors and stuff like that. It won't be everything. Oh, animating between font weights is super fun. Even like italic, if you have variable fonts that have different ranges of italic and you can like animate between them. Super cool. even if I do it like a 550, is that going to work with Google Fonts? I'm not sure if you can get these in between ranges. Oh, it looks like it. Okay. And actually, I just want to double check. Yeah, okay, we have the box sizing there. So I want 2 columns. So I'm actually gonna just comment out because I haven't thought about this at all. I was really coming in with no plans whatsoever. So I am gonna say that my main has a display of flex on it to give me 2 columns. And just quick wins. Let's just take this section and move it up for now. There we go. Cool. And then if it's a display flex, I guess the easiest thing to do, no, I'm gonna actually have to, that's okay. And again, quick win. So we have switch state and sign up. So my dot switch state, let's just give it a background of teal for now. So my body should have a min height of 100 BH. Or actually, we could just put that, I don't need that on my body, I could put that right on my main. Just to make sure that makes, because this is display flex, that means that the direct children are stretched by default, so they're stretching to be the full height. And I think the easiest thing to do here would be actually just say my main, all the direct children in my main will be a display of flex. I'm not doing this mobile first. We might go back and fix it, but just because most of the, or we could display flex because it doesn't matter. This is gonna work either way. Display flex and then flex direction of column. So they go that way. Text align center. Align items center. Flex direction is column. Align item center. Height is 100%. Or not. Oh, this shouldn't be align items. This should be justify content. Justify content center. There we go. The reason it's justify content is because I changed the flex direction. So you change the flex direction, you change the main axis. So there we go. We're getting there. And I could also do padding here. Padding of top and bottom, I'm not really worried about. And then I'm going to do a var spacer here. Just so I can have consistent spacing on everything. And we'll come all the way up with my root and do spacer is 2 rem for now. There we go. Not terrible already, right? Switch state, color here is white. I don't know if I'll bother change. I might make custom properties for these eventually. So there we go. That's not too bad. I guess we could come in with my button. So like this is very generic. Well, this is layout. So here, let's do layout. Here we could do components. It's kind of weird to have components here, but whatever. Just because my button is like a component. So button is cursor pointer. Whoops. Display inline block. And the reason we need this and this is I want them to be the same everywhere. So this one, like I have my cursor, and then I want this one to also have a cursor. This one's a link, this one's a button. These ones are also links. So I want to make sure that I always have the cursor pointer, so it just has uniformity throughout all of them. So like because this is a link and this is like, actually let's just take my cursor pointer off. Like this, you don't get the pointer, but they look exactly the same. So I want the behavior to be the same. And the display inline block also will make, like if it's a link or a button, they'll behave similarly. We might have to make some changes down here because you can see it's really broken, but I think we can do that easily enough. I might have to wrap some extra stuff on here, but we'll see. Inline block. I might even be, no, display block wouldn't work. That's fine. Inline block is good. Padding is a lot. You know what though? There is one thing here with these, like the really big buttons. I'm very curious if they set a width on those. One thing you could do for that, we could do padding of say 1em top and bottom. The font size is a little small on them too. But 1em top and bottom and say 2.5em left and right. Background is white. Border radius 100 VH, which I've talked about before. So that gives us our round corners. If ever you have a button that has to have a minimum size to it, one thing you could do is, because if you set a width on a button, width is 300 pixels, it means you're locked in at 300 pixels. And so if the content of your button, sign in right here with lots of text, you run into the issue of, oh, actually it's not, it's just gonna get, you know, you'll have multiple lines of text in there, which maybe isn't the end of the world. You know, but if it's a smaller button, it could start looking really ugly really fast. So one option is always to have a min width. So it means your button has a minimum size, but it is able to get bigger. Because of display flex and stuff in here, it isn't working exactly how I was expecting it to be honest. But I like trying to avoid having widths at all and just using my padding on stuff. And in general, you probably don't have a button that has that much text in it anyway. Cursor display there, and I also need a text declaration of none. It's not terrible already, right? Thank you for the follow, Friesen and Lenchil Spielt. Sorry for butchering your names. All right. There's a few issues here. One of them is just the width of this area, and this is how Flexbox is designed to work. I'm wondering if I should set something to try and get their widths to work better, or if I fix the layout here, if it's going to fix everything. So if I say, first is going to be my, I forgot what I called it. Social login. Social login is display flex and a list. Oh, I don't have to do list style none. There we go. Align items center. Whoops. I said this when I did the Flexbox zombies the other day, that I always mix them up. BF Hobbs, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub. That's super nice of you. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Lil Soft Big, welcome too. I didn't see you if you were here before. You too, Brent. I'm going to call you Brett every single time. Welcome to the stream. You're up early today. So that is good. Create a free account. Obviously the font sizes and stuff need to be done. Farouk, the VIP badges, I have to assign those, and I haven't been assigning any lately. I don't really know. I assigned it to a few early people, and then I just never did it again. I'm also out of coffee, which is really sad. All right, so let's see. Actually, this button, I'm not minding. Why is it so different from one another? I'm gonna have to look at those in a second. Slimeball, welcome. Hi there. I might have to change how I set this up, right? Let's just see. I just called it form. I guess there's two different forms, so I am gonna have to give that form class is equal to create account. Create count. I just want to see what happens here when I do a display flex. And then flex wrap of wrap. It's closer to what I wanted. Oh, I need, okay, screen reader only. SR only, CSS. Oh, that's the one I wanted, Scott O'Hara. I should have this somewhere easier to find. Where's the final one? Is it the one that I already went past? Oh. Copy that. I'll bring that all the way up just after the reset. And I'll put a comment here. I don't need a comment. I'm just going to change visually hidden to SR only. But I will, this is good for the not focus and not active is good to use for something like a skip link. That when you have the skip link for navigations, they should become visible on when they get their focus state. But this is something that I don't want that to happen with. This is something that I want it to be completely hidden with. So we can turn off my labels. I'm gonna, what's the other form look like again? Okay, it's never. It's completely different, which is it's okay. Create account. So I can say my create account input is, I mean, ideally what I would say here is width 50%. Actually, I'm not even sure if I could do that. And then a gap of 1em. Would that work? Okay, that still does break it. So what we could do is say, let's save that again, get it back. Flex of 1, 1, and then calc of 50% minus my var spacer. It should do that. And then, or do I even need to do this then? I might not need that. Yeah, I need the 50%, but I might not need to do that. What if I just said 50%? Let's see what happens, and I'll explain this a little bit in a second. If I do a gap here of 1em, it does break it. Okay, so if I do that, and then I do my gap of var spacer. Okay, good. So to explain a little bit, when I do flex like this is flex grow, flex shrink, and then this is the flex basis. So the flex basis is effectively their width. And so I want the width to be 50%, but I need it to be 50% minus the space I'm putting in between them. Now gap with flex works, but it doesn't work in Safari. So I'm going to take that off and we'll come up with a different way to do it in a second. But I just wanted to test to make sure that would work. And then because I have flex wrap on, once there's not enough room for them, they were going one on top of each other. So I'm hoping that's actually going to help me for smaller screen sizes, but we'll see what happens because they might just get really small. And I might need to play with that a little bit. Or I could put a min width on them. So let's say min width is, I don't know, 20 rem. Too big. 10. Oh no, 20 should be fine. Let's do 10 for now. And what should happen is when they get to that there, when they hit the minimum width, they'll stack on top of each other. So I don't even need a media query at that point. I just have to decide what's the smallest they should get, and then I can get them to stack. So for things like that, like Flexbox, if you're using Flex and you do use Flex Wrap, you can do really, really good things without much effort. So what I think I'm actually going to do is I deleted it from Andy's thing. I'm going to say here, utilities, and come in with this and say that I want flow content of star, whoops. I'll just do flow for this one because it's faster. Star plus star margin top of var. I think my spacer's too big actually at 2 rem, but we'll start with that. So what that means is I can come in, so let's just say on this one, switch state is also, whoops, is also a flow, and it will space everything out. And then I can come into my form, my form, class, create account, flow, and I get my vertical spacing, but I still need that gap, like the space in between them. Which is fine. Except I might need a media query there. Okay, I'm cheating. I'm going to use gap because it's so much easier than what I want to do. My spacing actually doesn't look terrible here. I think I might, let's just make this 1.5 instead. Hydrate. Thank you for that, Sleepy. Nerdophile. I could definitely use grid and do like a repeat with a min-max. Something like that would definitely work. Design course. Welcome there, Gary. How's it going? Thank you for dropping in. You should come onto Twitch. It's a lot of fun. Stop with all that YouTube live streaming that you've been doing. Gap is a lot more than glorified margin. Ragnar, come on. It's the same as, gap is the same as like a grid gap. But the nice thing with gap is that it, like if I do a gap here and I put, let's just do a gap of 1em. And we go and take a look. I'm going to open this in Firefox just because we can see our gap better. I am Tegan. Thank you so much for the sub. Super appreciated. Thank you very much. So if we come and look at my gap on my form, which is here, flex. So, oh, that's a terrible color. Layout. Let's change the color of that so we can actually see it. Okay. So these highlighted areas that are shaded are my gap. And what's really nice with gap instead of using, I mean, it is a glorified margin in a way. But you can see that it's built in all of these spaces between everything with, you know, it's not on the individual elements. I'm controlling this on the parent. So right away it takes this separation of, like the layout is being controlled by the parent and not by the elements inside, which is really nice. And then the other thing that's super amazing with gap is that, you know, I don't have any margins on the outside. It's only between elements, which also means here when those collapsed in between like this, like that gap is only the vertical gap now. And then when I go back this way, now it's going between them there. And then as this keeps going like that, and these, you know, you can see like the gap just automatically recalculates the spacing and keeps consistent spacing between everything. So you don't have to like come up with weird media queries like you would normally on this layout. I would need to have a media query because I want this one, I need a gap between these two and these two. So I'd have to have like spacing there, but I don't want a margin left on this one, right? And then when I get to this point where they stack, there'd be like extra margins on the side, or vice versa. You end up with like extra margins on the top of elements that you don't want to have margins on the top of. So you have to reconfigure things a lot. Whereas with Gap, you don't have to worry about it at all. I find it just makes life so much easier, and I can't wait for Safari to get support for it. Because, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. Yeah, it doesn't have support in Safari yet, and I don't know if it's coming. Can I use Gap? Oh, yes! It's coming for Safari. That's amazing. Good. So we should be able to start using it eventually there as well. It's so nice how it works. It takes a lot of thinking out of it, and the fact that you can just focus on the parent to control your spacing, it really makes that whole idea of separating layout from like the idea of layout versus content, and like your layout, you have a parent which controls the layout, and then the content inside is just the content. I wonder when that changed, but yeah, that's awesome that it's coming to Safari. So once that hits, I think it's safe to use. Oh, I mean, there's still going to be issues, I guess. I actually do look at solutions to using it. Stud Muffin, you're late? That's okay. Welcome, happy you're here. All right. So that's not bad. My checkbox here got busted because this could actually be a good time that I wrap my label. So my inputs here, my labels here. If I wrap all of that together for my terms, the advantage with doing that, so I have my terms and my input is inside of it. The big advantage of that is for my layout, it connects the two of them together. So they're not separated. Yeah. I do need to find a way to make sure those are on their own line all the time. And I don't know why there's a huge space here, but we'll figure that out later. I'm gonna go with gap just because I don't want to spend all day working on this. I do think components, create account. I'm gonna go here and just say all my input. They're sort of like my buttons. Like I could probably, whatever, it's okay. The padding is different. Padding is 0.75 rem maybe, and then 1 rem on the left and right, 1.5. Border radius is 100 VH again to get round corners or the pill shape. Background, for now, we'll just do light. Go with that, looks really light. We'll say border is 0. What's their focus state? They don't have, like if I tab through on these, it's not bad. Oh yeah, maybe we can just do like a light gray here with our own light gray. A, B, C, D's? Probably E's, right? It looks pretty light. That looks okay. The font size I have is probably a bit too big, but that's okay. I'm just trying to think. Okay, I think what I'm going to do actually for now, for both of my forms, I think, let me just go back to the sign-in form. I just have a sign-in button at the bottom. And here, my sign-up button is at the bottom, and they look exactly the same. So I will have, what did I call that button? I just have a type submit. I could probably do that, right? If I have a... Oh, this is where I screwed up. I did my create account, all my inputs. So my checkbox is getting a width. So this should be input. Input, can I do this? Not type equals checkbox. Can I do that? Yeah, cool, you can. I probably don't want it only on, oh, that's maybe what this is screwing up too. Okay, so this is where, okay, I want my inputs that are type, input type equals text. I'll just do it this way. I'll include the ones I want instead of account input type equals password, and we need one more. Create account, whoops, create account input type email. Right, is that right? I thought that would fix my button here. Why is this one so much wider? Is it the display flex is stretching it out? I might have to dive into that. It must be that. I didn't realize it was doing that. But there, at least that is styled those, so this one I know is not getting selected then. And then for these two, I might have to wrap them in another div to put them each on their own line. Because it is display flex. And I can't, I need, yeah, I'm just gonna do, I hate doing stuff like this, but there's not, I should have maybe used grid for this, now that I look at it. grid would have been super easy here because I could have just had like this spanning 2 cells and centered it, and then the same thing, a big cell going across the whole bottom and just centered it across both of them. Or like 2 cells and then centering it. Oh well. So here I want to do, I mean, this is where, like, this is the problem sometimes when you're using stuff like this, is like you literally just put, oh wait, is this even going to fix my issue? Kevin, you're being silly. I'm overcomplicating matters. What I should have done, I did my whole form as a display flex, but I shouldn't have done that. Let's create a count, that's fine. I should have done here, like, form flex, form create account, form, I don't have a good name for this, whatever, form flex for now, which will be all the way up to here. And then I would have that instead of the whole form being display flex, which doesn't really make sense. I would do my form flex, which is a terrible name, but whoops, don't paste that there. Display flex. And the flex wrap too. Oh, everything here. Flex wrap is wrap and gap of 1em. There we go. And then I could say that my, what did I call it? That means I could also, I don't need to set that up necessarily how I did, but I'm going to keep it like that for my terms. Label, because here what I could do is give this a class of terms, because it needs to be the same on both. And maybe I could even just do that as a utility class of display block, but terms is display block. Just so it breaks it all up. Which means my button I'm gonna have to play with my button a little bit to get them to be what I want. And then here, even on my button, I could do a btn. Instead of giving them like a separate class, I could use my attribute selector. So a button that is type equals submit will be background of teal. Color white. Didn't I turn my borders off? I didn't. Whoops. Border of 0. There we go. Color white. There we go. That's looking a little better. I don't have any hovers or anything like that yet, but at least the layout is coming together. Input wrapper, that makes more sense. Let's fix that. Input wrapper. Save that, and then I can come over and fix that. Here. Input wrapper. The reason I did this one is because I also have my checkbox that I don't want it to affect either. Papagulu. Farouk, you have to leave. I'm going to be leaving soon too, so you won't miss too much here at the end. I have to say that sorry, whoever suggested the music, they suggested hip hop, and I put this on, which is under the hip hop section. I'm not sure if you got what you were after. Thank you for the follow, Talisman. Hi, Niku Fit. Welcome. Prasha. I've seen your name so many times, I've never said it out loud. I apologize for not saying it properly. The social media links, I'll fix up those in a little bit. I need to... Actually, we could... Where did I do that? Social login, display flex. This should be Justify Content Center. Why are they so far apart? Oh, because they're... I know why. They have the padding on them. Okay. I'm going to fix that another time. I'm going to come up and just do some general styling here for my fonts. H1, font size 3 rem, looks like. My H2 font size is 2.5 rem. It's pretty big. My whole body's line height actually seems quite high. Line height of 1.6. 7. They went with like a really big line height on everything. I'll go with something like that. One thing that's sort of driving me nuts, but I sort of did it on purpose. I'll say I did. Actually, I see here, I'm going to do H1 plus P, just so I don't have to give this a class. Maybe this is... Did I do that? Did I just do it like that? I just want to check. H1, sign up. Yeah, I did. And actually, let's just double check to make sure this makes sense. Yeah, so there's always an H1, and then there's always the text that follows it that always looks the same. So I'm going to do an H1 plus P, so then I don't have to give that a class. It's just always the paragraph after. Font size is 1.25 rem, maybe? That looks alright. The color looks a little lighter too, eh? Color... Actually, the color... yeah, the color does look lighter. Or is it the font weight? Let's do font weight first. Font weight, 300. We'll just leave it like that. Oh, you have no music? You guys can hear my music? It is a little low, maybe. Yeah, the Google Plus I think is dead. We might switch that. Oh, okay. Yeah, line height. Line height, Brent is asking about line height, and I think now there are other CSS properties or units. I'm gonna mess up. I think there's other CSS properties that accept a unitless value now, but this is the OG one. And I'm actually not sure if there's anything else. Well, font weight obviously is unitless, but line height's one of the few that you can put a line height without a unit, and it's always been like that, I think. I think it's probably because of the old typography, because you can do like the font shorthand, and then you have the font size over like 32 pixels over, and that comes from typography days. So like over 40, let's say. So that's always, well, usually you'd see it like that in the old typography days, I guess. So it doesn't make sense what I'm about to say. But the unit, when you do a line height that's unitless, it's the same as saying M. It's looking at but I think it existed before M's were a thing. Don't quote me on that though. But yeah, it's looking at the font size. So if you did a line height of 2 and you had a font size of 20 pixels, or if I did that, then my line height is 20 pixels. And if I did that, then my line height is 40 pixels or 30 pixels. So it's always just a multiplication. It's a relative to your font size. No problem. All right. I'm actually pretty happy with the progress I made here. I didn't think I'd get this far. I'm gonna just check out. Okay, this is a display flex. Oh, I know why. I know why. When I did my layout, where's my layout? It's down a little bit. When I did this. Oh no, because I have. Oh yeah, when I did this, what's happening is I didn't change this button's huge and this one's not huge because they have, this area is a flex parent, the whole area, and this is a flex child. Now I changed the flex direction to column. So normally items are stretch. If you don't change the flex direction, items stretch on the default is always, let me just write it, align items stretch is the default. So when I did a display flex and then changed the flex direction, align items, which is normally vertical, turns to horizontal. And because it's horizontal, it's stretching everything this way now. So my button, which should be smaller, is actually getting stretched. So here, I would just change this to center, and it will fix that. There we go. So maybe this is a case where I want to say my buttons. See, I don't think it makes sense to actually give it this gigantic padding more than what I see here. The font size of these is definitely smaller. Font size 0.925 rem, 125 maybe. We'll go with that. And the font weight can be 500. That looks better. I'm just going to move a few things here just so all the font stuff stays together. So here it could be a case where we have padding and we assign a min width. So a min width of, how big is that going to be? I'm messing up these guys at the top, but that's okay. Because then I could just come in and say that my social login PTN width is padding will be just 1em on all sides, and the min width, if I do a min width of 0, what happens? I've never really reset min width before. And for now, I'm just going to give them all a background of red. It's going to be ugly. Let's just do teal since we're going with that already. Obviously, I want them to be circles and not this ugly shape. So the min width, there's padding. Oh yeah, that's just going to do that. So I need them to have a width that's more than that. What's the trick to make a perfect circle? Always. Is if you give... I know what it is. It's, you want to do padding will be, padding top will be 100%, and you have to give them a width though in this case. Width of 3 rem, and I'm gonna have to turn off width of 3 rem, min width, we'll have to say 0 just to reset that one that's already coming in. My flexbox is messing things up here, or what? I need positioning and stuff. That's not going to work because I have content inside of it. It's busting it. I can do initial, eh? I think initial would be the same thing as saying 0 here. Initial. There is a trick to make a perfect square. The border radius, yeah, I mean that, the border radius 50% will only do it if it's actually, the dimensions are perfectly square. Because, I mean, I could just say width to height to rem, and then it makes it, my display flex is screwing stuff up. Justify content. Something's weird here. 1 second. List items. The list item. What am I missing? I am Tegan. Yeah, I will be doing the animations, just not today. I'll probably look at setting that up on the next stream and getting it all to work. See a few follows coming in. Thank you guys for following. Does anyone have any ideas on what I'm doing wrong here? Because I have my width, my height. align items center. What's happening here? Let's turn off responsive mode. Oh, whoops. I thought I fixed that. Padding, 1 rem. There we go, they're back to circles. Or if I took padding, if I did padding 0, this is one thing I could do. Because the problem, what was happening there with them and why it wasn't centered is because the, okay, let's say I did that. Because I had padding on it and like a width and a height, the text couldn't actually fit inside that space, so it was overflowing a little bit. So if I turned overflow hidden, you would have seen it would have like cropped my text a little bit. So what I can do is I'll do a display. I can do grid on this and then just do place items center. I mean, if this, yeah, I mean, that would work no matter what it is. And then here I could use my gap as well. Var spacer. There we go. Color white. My spacing looks a little bit off overall, but I'm not sure I like this song. All right, so that works. That would go to my terms and conditions if I had any. That's actually not bad. You know what I'll do is for today, I'm just going to build in a hover state for my buttons. I'm not a huge fan of this. So I actually, you know what I did? I don't want to do that. I gave these different classes, didn't I? Button social, I did. This should just be a button social. It should look exactly the same, and then I can keep that grouped here with my buttons. Social login would fall more, well, it's still a component, but it sort of breaks that apart a little bit more. So this, like, because I technically, I hit next song and it just stopped my music. Oh well, that's okay. What I could do, yeah, I just think that makes it a little bit easier. You keep all your button styles together. This would be something else. Like I could reuse social login somewhere else, but I could also reuse these button socials somewhere else that aren't part of like a social login. It could also be my social icons that show up at the bottom of a page or something like that. Rasputin, this is browser sync. Browser sync won't, if it's CSS, it won't refresh your page. It's only if it's HTML and stuff and JavaScript. Oh, it's not live server, but live server is the same. This is browser sync, but live server, doesn't live server only refresh the page if it's HTML or like here, if I go to my HTML and I make a change, so say change that to network. I think the page is actually refreshing there. I'm not totally sure. Anyway, yeah. I don't feel like bringing font awesome right now. Let's do my hover states, and actually I just realized my button there, the color. I have all my buttons set to be white, and then I'm overriding it. I don't know if it would be a better idea to actually have like 2 different states, but, or even, like here, in a way, this would make more sense to have like a, if I was doing this as a bigger project, this would be like a BG class that's giving a darker color to the background, which then maybe is changing the color of my button, and then like instead of having that as part of my button class here. But since this is a small little limited scope thing I'm doing, I can color inherit. Oh no, that's gonna turn it white. There we go. So let's just say that my .btn hover and my .btn focus. What did they do? Oh, they don't have a focus? 1 second. Here has a focus state. Tab. They didn't put focus states on these or these. Naughty. So here I want to do... I'm not even... Oh, they have a shadow on there that disappears too. I'm not going to do the shadow today. What I might do is something like... I mean, all they're doing right now is color and changing it, really. Doesn't look so good when that's the only thing happening, but whatever, at least we have that. And then we also want to take this one and do the same thing. So we'd have a hover and a thank you. A hover and a focus on that one. What did, oh, I can't see that one. Let's go back to this one. They just sort of lightened it up a little bit. So teal could become, I don't know, what's some colors? Or actually, I'll leave teal in. And I'll just use, come on. You can just lighten it up a bit. Just so we have something. There we go. That's busted here now, though. Button social. Hover and focus. Color. I don't know why my color is changing there actually. It would be something that I should figure out, but that would stay the same. Actually, you know what? I could probably just take this and 4 now because I don't have all the same colors. But just to make my life easier for the moment. I don't get why the color inside is changing. It must be, I think it's grabbing it from this. Probably. Whatever, that's good enough for now. No refill on, I'm under the water now. All right. Oh, I see Papa Gilu's mentioning for these, instead of using display, grid, or flex to try and center things, you could also do it with line height. Yeah. If your line height is equal to the height, it will center something. You just have to be really careful with that. I used to use that a lot in the old days. And it works if you know that that text is staying short, but you have to be careful with it. If ever the text wraps, it breaks everything. And I think I'm going to leave that one there, guys. I think that's where we're gonna wrap things up. Because yeah, I'm pretty happy with the progress we made. This is going to come together super fast, so I'll probably start the next one by looking at that, and then we're gonna see how we can animate it. I am going to cheat a little bit because we're going to animate it. I don't know how I'm going to do the animation at all, to be honest. The first thing I'm going to do is just trying to figure out how to move this side to side the way they do it with the text that comes off and on. And then we'll worry about that back thing. They're using state management in this with Angular, so they're switching back and forth between the URL changes when we go through. I'm not going to take that step, but we'll make the animations work without that, which is going to make, like, here I use my H1 and stuff. So like there are a few things here that wouldn't be practical if this was a real project, but I think that I think we can do it without too much work. That's where I think things are actually going to fall apart. So on Thursday, we'll be diving into this a bit more. So thank you guys all for coming to hang out. It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of you guys here this time, so I appreciate you coming to hang out with me. Let's go and do this. There we go. I'm really blue today for some reason, but that's okay. The URL change is easy. I'm just like, it's not that part that I'm worried about. It's just like, anyway, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll take the time to do it. I guess, yeah, I could just watch for like when the animation finishes and then update the URL, right? But thank you guys for coming to hang out. I do want to say just really quickly, if you have been interested in CSS Demystified, today is the last day to register. So If you've been thinking about it and you're not too sure, send me an email or come to the Discord, which the link is down below, or you can do the Discord command to jump in there and ask me any questions about it. The content is available, so if you register today, you can jump right into it, or the content for the first module is available. And then it drips out one module per week until we wrap the whole thing out. I hope you guys so far have been enjoying it. Avi, you'd like feedback, come on over to the Discord and ask for some feedback in there. Today I'm going to be pretty busy getting a few things wrapped up and done, but right now, yeah, to be something that I eventually yeah, I do. Sorry, I got really confused my own words there. I am planning at one point to start doing like feedback on people's websites as live streams or as recordings. I'm not sure yet, so we'll see. But that might be part of what I do eventually, and it'll all be through the Discord when I start doing that type of stuff. I do see Ragnar. I thought you were coming early and then you were going to be leaving. You were just coming to say hi. You managed to stick around for the whole thing. But I do see you're saying it would be good to see me playing with React, Angular, or Vue on a small project. Yeah, I think I'm not good enough with any of them right now. But at one point I do, once I'm finished with CSS Demystified and the course is done and wrapped up with, I have a few plans on diving deeper into some other things. So I'll start building some content around those. I see Svelte in there, Brent. I actually might start with Svelte instead of, I was thinking Vue, but I might, it would either be Vue or Svelte, we'll see. And I guess that's it. So yeah, I'll say have a great day for everybody, for anybody who's got the course. I hope if you have dove in, I hope that you're enjoying what you have so far. And if you haven't had a chance to dive in, you can go and do that now. And yeah, for the Svelte or Vue or any other content like that, it might be a little while. It might be a while because I want to make sure I know it properly before I'm able to actually start making content on it. So yeah, have a great day, guys. Thank you so much for coming to hang out. It's been a lot of fun. I think this was a nice fun one to put together. So the next part will be where I make a fool of myself trying to get it to work. I have a lot of things that I want to learn, so soon TM definitely. All right, guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you